Subhanallah, in the Quran there are stories that aren't stories just for us to get entertainment from and say, oh well, that was poor guy, Pharaoh really got me and he got the short end of the stick, pun intended by the way, because he had a stick, that he drowned and so forth. No, these stories are there for us to take ibarah, to take lessons and apply them to our daily lives, because the situations that existed then, the scenarios, the circumstances, the environments exist today. Different guises, but it's the same operation going on fundamentally. Why? Because they were people and we are people. They were a society and we are a society. So essentially the fundamentals don't change. Of course, how it's displayed and how it's manifested can change, but the fundamentals stay the same. And so what is one of these beautiful lessons we can see? Subhanallah, in the Quran, there is a verse referencing the time when Musa alayhi salam escaped with the Israelites, who were the Muslims at the time, right? Because they were the Muslims of that generation. They left Fir'aun. Fir'aun chases them. He drowns. Him and his guys, they drown. That's the end of them. And now they're in the desert. And they're gone. And they're going through struggles. So they're refugees. They've got nothing. They've got no food. They've got no stability, no houses. They're going through the desert. They're lost. They don't know what's going on. They're barely able to eat. There's a lot of fights breaking out. It's a desert, so it's hot. It's dry. It sucks, right? All that difficulty. And we know the nature of Bani Israel, how they're complaining, how they keep making things up, how they keep arguing. We know their nature. They're difficult people, right? So they reach a point and they start complaining too much. And the ayah says, it says, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. Beautiful. And it's at that time that God reveals this verse where it says to the Bani Israel, to the people of Israel, it says, and if you are grateful, then I will give you more. And so the question is, how can I be grateful? Have you not seen my situation? And we can apply this to our lives today. When you reach a dark corner, when everything's failed and it seems the whole world has gone against you, every business you've tried is failing, every relationship you've gotten into has broken up, everything that you've tried just comes out with a negative outcome, to the point where you just think there's some massive conspiracy against you, that nothing's meant to work for you, and you go down a very dark abyss and you don't see a light. And it's at that point when you feel like you want to give up, that you're meant to literally put your head down and say, Ya Allah, alhamdulillah, thank you for this opportunity. The ability to see opportunity at a time of a crisis is beautiful. Subhanallah, Allah yarzuqna hidayah. May Allah grant us guidance and grant us the humility to use that guidance in our lives and not to be overcome by it, right? But to apply it the right way in our lives. So you see, Allah's telling Bani Israel, be grateful and I will give you. Because that is a true test. That is where things get difficult. You see, people when they have, right, if you got money, you got cars, you got health, everything's going good, you're like, yeah, alhamdulillah, man, life's good. But it's when everything is taken away and you've got nothing and you're on your knees and you're about to give up and you don't understand what's going on. Then, when you're really in touch and you come begging back to Allah and you say, alhamdulillah, even at this stage, I say, alhamdulillah. That is when the doors of blessing, the doors of rizq, the doors of everything just open up for you, subhanallah. And so for Bani Israel, they need to be grateful. Grateful for what? For the fact that they're still alive, the fact that the women are not being violated. And you understand what I mean by that if you read the Quran. To be grateful that their children are not being murdered, to be grateful that they are no longer an enslaved nation under the hands of one of the worst tyrants in history, to be grateful for that. And this teaches us a valuable lesson. Sometimes we look and we say, oh, it's all failing, it's all failing. Look where you are. Look what you have. Don't look above you and say, you know what, I've got a car, but he's got a Lamborghini. No, I've got a car. There's a person who cannot walk. Subhanallah. I've got children. There are people who have lost their children, and we can see that in today's events. There's a lot to be grateful for. If you can change your perspective and focus your mind on looking for the positives in life. And this ties into a philosophy that I find truly beautiful. And it's truly, truly amazing. It's a psychological philosophy. It says, if you can focus on the positive, you create positives, right? You must have heard of these ideologies, right? They come out and they say, oh, the secrets and all that stuff. They say, you can create reality. You can manifest positivity. You can manifest all these things, which to some extent is true. And to the greater part is a bunch of nonsense, because there's no Allah involved, there's none of that stuff. It's pretty much kufr and shirk and all kinds of nonsense. But we can understand and adopt some of that philosophy under the guise of Islam, and we have to be careful with this, right? So you see, how does that work? to create or to manifest this positive reality is this ayah. وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. So the more grateful you are, the more I will give you. And so therefore you'll have more to be grateful for, and the more grateful you are for that, the more you will get, the more you will get. But how do you identify gratitude? How do you find what to be grateful for? By adjusting your mindset to look only for the positive as best you can. And this takes training. Right? A lot of people come from a negative mindset. We just look around, it's like, oh, it's war, it's death, it's depression, it's all these kinds of problems, and it puts you down. And it's meant to put you down. But this is where you, with your inner strength that God has granted us, and inshallah He grants us, we're able to identify this and say, no, none of these things are going to take me down. I will stand strong. I will stand as this proud slave of Allah, that al-khair wa shar, the good and bad or the evil, is from Allah. And nothing can hit me unless He allows it. And so how can I be upset? He has put me in this situation, and it is He who will take me out of it, whatever that situation is. Subhanallah. So you can see how these philosophies tie in, but if we can stabilize them with the guidance of Islam, then we can use them to create a positive philosophy within ourselves that we can then see in the world around us. Now this is a much longer talk, but I just thought I can give you a bit of a summary here. Barakallahu feekum. Take care. Salam.